I want to talk about BFDI. It's a show that really influenced me, especially when I discovered it in 2017. During my late elementary school year. I would say I grew up with it because it has influenced me a lot, that being my own object shows which I had many attempts making. For those of you who don't know, BFDI is an animated series made in 2010 that continues to run to this day that currently has 5 seasons. BFDI is a competition show like Survivor or Total Drama, where a group of 20 contestants, in this case all the contestants are anthropomorphic objects, compete in a challenge. Each episode a team loses a challenge, then one of their members get eliminated, and this continues until we have a winner who wins the grand prize. In this case, it's Dream Island. But there's a catch. It's the viewers who decides who gets eliminated, not the contestants. For YouTube at the time, this was a very unique and creative spin on the typical reality competition. And today, the first episode of season 1 has garnered 68 million views. To put that into perspective, the population of France is 67 million people, meaning this video has slightly more people watching it than the entire population of France. And this first episode was made by 2 kids, the Huang twins, and now they have an entire team. But enough talking about the numbers. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing every single episode in BFDI season 1 and ranking them from a scale to 1 to 10. But I'm also going to be putting each video on a tier list just for good measure. I am going to be talking about the writing of each episode, what I like and what I don't like about each episode. Strap in, because this is going to be a long one. The first scene shows Pencil and Match discussing on how Flower is scared of bugs. Then Match talks about Flower's ego. A flashback shows Flower asking Ice Cube if she is beautiful. When Ice Cube says no, Flower kicks her off screen. Ice Cube then joins the conversation, stating that she will take revenge on Flower for kicking her. Pencil and Match show no interest in Ice Cube's revenge plan. Ice Cube accidentally pops Bubble while trying to hug her, but Bubble is recovered by the Bubble Recovery Center. Bubble gets mad at Pin for nearly popping her, but it's revealed Blocky was holding Pin and throws Needle at Bubble. Bubble dodges and Blocky says he was in the mood to hurt someone. Blocky then kicks Woody, who nearly falls on Teardrop. Leafy picks up Woody and tells him to enjoy life. Woody then looks at Teardrop romantically, but Teardrop kicks Woody into the air. Tennis Ball tells Teardrop to calm down and warns her that Woody is fragile. Woody falls onto Rocky, hitting and chipping himself in the process. Woody screams in pain while Eraser and Pen comment on Woody's cowardness. Snowball, flying on a hang glider, notices Woody flying and then accidentally hits a mountaintop, losing grip on the hang line. Meanwhile, Coiny and Firey are fighting on top of Spongy, who is leaking water. Golf Ball tells them to stop and for Spongy to take a bath. Eraser and Blocky discuss Golf Ball's bossiness. The announcer then falls from the sky and tells Eraser about Dream Island. Eraser won it because it's free, but the announcer says that everyone else wants it too, and they will settle it with a contest. In the contest, everyone stands on a wooden balance beam above water. Leafy and Pin promise to help each other. Spongy falls first. Flower gets mad and aggressively pushes several others off the beam. Leafy yells for Pin's help and Pin pulls Leafy up. Bubble forms an alliance with Pencil and Match, but Ice Cube accidentally knocks Pen off the beam and then bumps into Snowball and others, knocking them out. Before sinking, Pencil rejects Ice Cube's request to join the alliance. With 6 contestants still on the beam, Leafy and Pin try to push off Flower. Flower notices and kicks them into the air. Leafy grabs onto the bridge and Pin's leg, and Teardrop grabs on as well. Blocky helps them up, but accidentally steps on Leafy's hand. Flower tries to show off her non-slip shoes, but then get kicked off by Blocky. Leafy and Pin end up being the final two, and then they do a rock, paper, scissors tiebreaker. Pin wins, announcer says that both of them win, and they get to pick their teams for the next competition. Leafy and Pin pick their teams. Leafy chooses Ice Cube, Teardrop, Needle, Snowball, Coiny, Rocky, and Woody. Pin chooses Pencil, Match, Bubble, Pen, Firey, Eraser, Blocky, and Spongy. An announcer names Leafy's team the Squashy Grapes and Pin's team the Squishy Cherries. The first contest is to build a boat and row it across the Coiny Canal. The Squashy Grapes struggle with teamwork and coordination, while the Squishy Cherries boat breaks apart during the race. Leafy, Ice Cube, and Coiny's boat fly over the finish line, and they land in the water. Eventually, the Squishy Cherries manage to reach the finish line first, putting the Squashy Grapes up for elimination. Okay, now that we have a brief summary of the episode, I will list what I like and what I don't like about the episode, and then make a ranking. First of all, I like how the episode starts with Pencil and Matt just casually talking. It feels heartwarming after you know just how crazy all the other seasons are going to get. I know that I didn't talk about it in detail, but I think the way the announcer explained Dream Island is also cool. I think the scene in which Pin talks about how much he hates everyone is funny. The challenge after the balance beam of getting across Coiny Canal is pretty cool. Blocky getting eaten by a fish monster is cool, and the entire scene of them fighting over the finish line is fun. But I also think the announcer's final words of the episode is heartwarming, knowing how huge BFDI has become now. Now, what is it that I dislike about this episode? Well, I can't really criticize the animation considering that it's good for the time, but I don't like how the characters basically never blink. Writing wise, I don't like how this friendship that we've seen between Pin and Leafy isn't really continued. Well, actually it is brought up again, but at the last episode of season 1, where we see their friendship end for reasons I won't spoil for now. But because we only see their friendship in episode 1 briefly, and brought up again in the finale, I think it would be hard to get attached to it. But I do think it is kind of wholesome that although it is forgotten about for the rest of season 1, it is brought up again in the finale. The biggest thing I dislike about this episode is the character flying over the weird monsters that make fart noises, but humor is subjective, I guess. Overall, I think that episode is an amazing first episode, minus the fart and romance scenes, but those are minor problems that go away as the series progresses. Now, when I rank these episodes, I'm ranking them based on season 1 alone, and not comparing to anything past season 1. And I think near the end of the season, it probably gets good, but obviously I can't give a 10 out of 10 due to the visuals, those two scenes. I still think it's pretty good though. 8 out of 10, A tier. Now, episode 2. Pin wins a win token, which can subtract half of all the votes against her. The Squashy Grapes lost the previous contest and must partake in the elimination. Contestants receive a slice of cake if they're safe. If they're unsafe, they're treated with TLC. The announcer reveals 7 votes were cast and several contestants were safe with 0 votes. Flower is eliminated with 4 votes and activates her announcer crusher, hitting golf ball instead. Second contestant is an obstacle course where the contestants must fill their team tanks with water within an hour. The Squashy Cherries are missing Blocky, and Pen and Eraser decide to find him while the others run the race. Various challenges occur during the obstacle course, such as climbing walls, avoiding obstacles, and dealing with hazards. A commercial for overpriced gumballs and a prank commercial from Blocky Funny's Doings International is shown. The alliance of Pencil, Matt, and Bubble encounters various obstacles and interactions with other contestants. Needle receives a win token, and Firey burns the haystack to find a needle. The Alliance and Spongy deal with a collapsing ski lift and other obstacles, resulting in some of contestants falling into the failures waiting room. Needle and Teardrop fill their team tank, while Firey stands, putting the squashy cherries up for elimination. I like how the episode starts with Pin. I think the huge zoom into Pin is meant to be a joke, but it's very unexpected compared to how episode 1 started. The cake at stake was cool because I think that Flower trying to crush the announcer was nice because the explosion and golf ball's reaction. The challenge isn't something boring, it's an obstacle course. I think they could have made the episode longer, but it's fine at the length that it was. I think the shiny tech, instead of using the new friendly, the Kevin MacLeod, copyright free music for the entire episode, well, I like that part. And what I dislike about this episode was the running animation, which in my opinion is bad. So is the animation in which Eraser says boring. The ending was kind of rushed. Overall, I think this was a good episode. Maybe not that impactful as episode 1. It's good, but it's not really amazing, so I would just give it an 8 out of 10 B tier. Episode 3. The announcer begins the episode of Cake at Stake. Despite Firey's surprise, he retrieves Pen, a Woody, Eraser, Golf Ball, Leafy, Coiny, Rocky, Matt, Spongy, Tennis Ball, Blocky, Pencil, Pin, Snowball, and Bubble from the failures waiting room. The announcer reveals the vote count as 12, not 2, and announces that the cake for this episode is key lime pie. He explains that there are 9 slices. Pin chooses not to use her win token. Eraser, Bubble, Pencil, and Pin are safe with 0 votes. Pin gives her slice to Pen. Pen and Firey each get 1 vote and are safe. Match is safe with 1 vote, leaving Blocky, Spongy, and Woody. Blocky is safe with 2 votes. Spongy is eliminated with 4 votes, and Woody is safe. The announcer uses a Sender's Scoop thrower to eliminate Spongy, but it malfunctions. The next contest is a test of memory and basic knowledge with 20 questions. The team with the highest total score wins, and the highest scoring player gets a win token. The Ice Cube Recovery Center is in process to recreate Ice Cube. During the test, various distractions occur. Golf Ball sings, Pencil and Match get sidetracked, Snowball gets frustrated, Pin kicks Woody, Blocky steals answers, and Tennis Ball and Rocky argue. Blocky throws Ice Cube in the fire repeatedly, Rain extinguishes the fire, and Blocky, Pen, and Eraser cheat by copying answers. The Squishy Cherries initially win with 54 points, but the announcer catches the cheating and changes their score to 0, making the Squashy Grapes the winners with 34 points. Golf Ball receives a win token, and the remaining cherries are up for elimination again. I think that in general, that this episode was less interesting than the last 2, and I think a part of that has to do with the challenge. The entertainment part comes from the contestants not doing the challenge more than anything, and the challenge is to do a test, and that is why we see some jokes done about the test, but most of the entertainment is everything else. I like how they complain about the cake being key lime pie and talked about other types of cake instead. I thought that was kind of funny. I think the doodle scene is cool, and I like the music that they used for it. I guess the cheating aspect of it made it more interesting. What I don't like about this episode is the challenge, because it's not very interesting what you can do with it. The episode is fast-paced and short. I'm also not a huge fan of seeing Ice Cube die a million times. 7 out of 10, C tier. Episode 4. The episode begins with a "this video has been removed" message as an April Fool's joke, followed by the intro. Leafy calls Needle needy and gets slapped. Leafy suspects the announcer and tries to dismantle him with a hammer but fails. Ice Cube thinks Leafy is evil and wants revenge. The announcer announces cake at stake. The squishy cherries lost due to a lower test score than the squashy grapes. The voting screen initially shows 0 votes, but is corrected to 12 votes. The announcer forgot to buy a cake and instead used a huge chunk of ice instead. Ice Cube is flung out for being on the other team. Pen refuses to use her win token again. Pen incorrectly predicts Blocky will be safe. The girls, Bubble and Pencil, receive no votes except Match and Pin. Bubble gets popped and Pencil is knocked out. Firey, Pen, and Eraser are safe. Blocky has elbow room. Match and Pin receive 1 vote each. Match insults Pin. Woody freaks out when Blocky is called. Blocky is eliminated with 6 votes. The announcer says the grapes are ahead with 9 contestants to the cherries 8. Pin tries to eat the ice cake but finds out that it's terrible. The announcer suggests a cooking challenge. Judges are the announcer, flour, and the magical die of judgment. Ingredients include unsanitary ones like boogers and cyanide. The best cake wins a win token. Pencil and Match mock Bubble, who tries to prove she's not dumb, but gets popped by a strawberry. Golf Ball mixes her cake, while Snowball complains about the lack of recipes. Tennis Ball flaunts his rice cake. Eraser and Pen see Leafy making a big cake mix. Leafy offers her cake to contestants for $5 a slice. Eraser and Pen buy a cake using Coiny as a penny. Pen shows Teardrop her intrinsic flour cake. Bubble counts to 8, convincing Match and Pencil she is not dumb. Golf Ball smells dirt in her cake. Rocky barfs onto his quote-unquote cake, which is just a bowl of water. Match buys Leafy a cake. Leafy gives Woody a free cake. Ice Cube is excused due to the recovery center being destroyed. Bubble's strawberry cake scores 13. Coiny's dirt cake scores 14. Eraser's strawberry cake scores 18. Firey's chocolate cake scores 19. Golf Ball's dirt cake scores 0. Leafy cake scores 19 after Flour uses a spinner to decide her score. Pin wins the win token with a score of 23. The cherries win overall with 134 points to the grapes 121. A chocolate ball eating challenge ends in a tie. The tiebreaker is a neck tie breaking challenge with Snowball wins for the grapes. The squishy cherries lose for the third time in a row. The episode concludes with a radio report about Needle's rapidly growing cake, which separated from Earth. Leafy calls Needle needy again, and Needle slaps her as the screen cuts. Episode 4 is much better than 3, and that is simply because more stuff is happening. So I will rank episode 4 higher than 3. I like how the episode starts. I think the whole Ice Cube betraying Leafy is funny. I like how there's more music that's being used at the cake at stake. I think the announcer playing the intro again was funny. Leafy making a big cake and also charging it and giving one to Woody for free was funny. I also know that during the second half of the video, the animation improves. What I don't like is the full intro starting again as soon as the episode begins. And also the hallucination joke, because I didn't really like that. Also, the tiebreaker was really pointless. They could have not had that at all. Like, there was no need to tie break in the first place since the cherries won, basically. Also, the ending with the Needle's cake was cool. 8 out of 10, B tier. Episode 5. The episode begins with Needle's cake expanding and going under nuclear fusing, causing a massive windstorm on Earth. Teardrop is blown into a tree, which falls near Pen, who looks confused. Leafy and Needle stand against a rock, arguing over the cake. Leafy slaps Needle, sending her into the wind towards the cake, popping it, and ending the storm. The intro plays. The announcer declares it's time for cake at stake for the squishy cherries. With 14 votes cast, he reveals an ice cream cake. Bubble is safe with 0 votes, but gets slapped by Needle. Match shows disgust at Needle, and Pencil says she loves needies, causing Needle to slap Pencil. Firey, Pen, and Pencil also get 0 votes. Pencil is hit by the cake, and Firey's cake is mistakenly thrown into a house, angering him. Needle is flung back to her team by the announcer. Match and Eraser each get 1 vote. Pin and Woody are the final 2, with Woody being eliminated with 9 votes. Woody is sent to the tiny loser chamber, much to his dismay. For the challenge, teams must cross the bridge. Leafy warns Needle about the bridge instability. Snowball attacks Golf Ball, causing Rocky to collide with the bridge, and it collapses, with Bubble on it. Pencil and Match follow Bubble. Pen notices a second bridge. Leafy asks Ice Cube if she wants revenge, and Ice Cube declines. Snowball throws Golf Ball into Leafy, Ice Cube, and Needle, causing them to fall. Snowball removes the bridge poles, leading to chaos. With no bridge left, teams must use rope to cross it. Eraser doesn't want to, but Pen insists on winning to name the island Pen Island. Coiny persuades Snowball not to throw him. While on the rope, Pen falls due to the rope collapsing. No one crosses the bridge, leading to a tiebreaker, which the squashy grapes win, sending the cherries to cake at stake. What are my thoughts on the episode? I like the whole Needle's cake thing, although that was a bit short. The Pen Island joke was a classic. I liked the bendy straw joke, and I also like how the tiny loser chamber appears for the first time. What I dislike about this episode is that it is rushed and feels like completely filler. This episode isn't horrible, but it's so forgettable. 6 out of 10, D tier. Episode 6. Before cake at stake, Pencil comments about not liking it, but reverses her opinion sarcastically when the announcer threatens immediate elimination. The squashy cherries are up for elimination for the 4th time after Snowball ripped the tie of the squashy grapes in a literal tiebreaker. The announcer reminds them of the tiny loser chamber and proceeds with the ceremony using 6 cupcakes due to the cake being too expensive. 13 votes were cast, 1 less than last time. Pencil is safe with 0 votes. Bubble, Matt, and Firey got 1 vote. Pen and Pin are the bottom 2, and Pen is saved with 3 votes, eliminating Pin with 5 votes. Pin tries to use her win token, but it's too late, and she is flung to the TLC. The announcer temporarily divides the contestants into 5 teams due to the uneven number of members. The teams are Pencil, Bubble, Matt, Firey, Pen, Eraser, Snowball, Golf Ball, Rocky, Leafy, Tennis Ball, Teardrop, Coiny, Needle, Ice Cube. The teams must go over 3 islands, starting with crossing a balance beam. Leafy, Teardrop, and Tennis Ball arrive at Island 1, where there are 30 safes with combinations. Coiny and Needle arrives next, followed by Pencil's Alliance. Snowball goes back for Golf Ball and Rocky. Firey falls into the water, and Pen and Eraser turn on the Firey Recovery Center. The first island challenge is to find a raft and paddles next, and Leafy's team follows. Pen and Eraser wait for Firey to be recovered. On Island 2, teams must use building blocks to get a key. Coiny's team gets a key first, but it's a fake. Leafy team gets a key next, but also fails. Firey's team arrives and gets a key, which works. They complete the challenge first, followed by Leafy's team. The last 3 teams get a key after various attempts and start paddling. Snowball's team comes in 4th, and Coiny's team comes last. The announcer tells Coiny's team that they're up for elimination. So I think this episode is better than the last. So above the D tier, but also the challenge is more interesting than a test-taking thing. So above C tier, I would just give this episode a B tier. I like how the episode begins with the announcer being very sassy. I like how Snowball throws a fit over Golf Ball being on a temporary team with him. I like them locking Pencil in a safe because that was kind of unexpected. And I like the outro and them at the end flying endlessly into the air. I don't like how Pin never uses her win token. The running animation is still bad. They also reuse audio from voice lines in this episode, which I don't really understand. 8 out of 10, B tier. Now we're on to episode 7. The episode starts with competitors spinning basketballs. Pen starts with 1, Eraser impresses with 3, and Golf Ball spins 7, making Snowball jealous. Eraser asks Needle how many she can spin, calling her needy, which frustrates her, causing her to slap him. The announcer then announces Cake at Stake. Needle, Ice Cube, and Coiny are up for elimination. The announcer calls Needle needy and she slaps him. A key lime pie is used for the cake. There are 18 votes. Ice Cube gets 1 vote. The announcer points out Coiny's silence, leading to a comedic exchange where Coiny insists on maintaining the silence. The announcer calls Needle needy again, and Needle slaps Coiny, sending him flying. Coiny gets 5 votes, and Needle gets 12, reduced to 6 with her win token, but she still gets eliminated. The announcer shows a montage of Needle's 13 slaps and notice that it's an unlucky number before being flung into the TLC. Coiny asks why Needle dislikes being called needy, but she's flung away before answering. The announcer realizes that the TLC is over capacity due to Spongy's size, so no one will be eliminated in the next episode. Instead, the winners will get an eliminated contestant on their team. The challenge is a jigsaw puzzle, and everyone is locked in a room until they complete it. After a commercial, the announcer states that there is a way out. Leafy suggests solving a jigsaw puzzle, which becomes the 7th contest. The squishy cherries pieces are upside down, but they don't notice. Snowball quickly completes the squashy grapes puzzle. The announcer stops them and tells them to choose a cherry for their team. Everyone but Coiny and Ice Cube choose Firey. Coiny complains and Firey is upset. Pencil realizes their pieces are upside down and the announcer says the cherries can't leave until they finish their puzzle. So I think this episode isn't as good as episode 6, and that's because there is no really crazy plot. There's no voting for this episode, but Needle does get eliminated at the start of this episode. I like the basketball skit at the start. The yellow face ad is cool. What I dislike about this episode is that I think that Coiny's joke about silence is annoying. The fact that we will never know why Needle doesn't like being called needy is also something I don't really like about this episode, and that is never brought up again. I guess Firey joining Coiny's team is to start a conflict. Ranking this episode in a tier is tricky because I feel like this episode falls between a C and a D tier. Episode 5 was less interesting than this, so I have to put this in a C tier. 7 out of 10. Episode 8. Penn goes to the announcer to tell him that he and his team finally solved the jigsaw puzzle. So his team is free from the room that they were trapped in last episode. Pencil and Match talk about their votes. Pencil says she never got a vote. Leafy, Teardrop, Rocky, and Snowball also have no votes. Match is so confused as to why Snowball didn't have any votes. Match then remarks that she got a vote 4 episodes in a row and no one else had. Bubble wants to say her vote status, but the announcer lands on her, popping Bubble. And the announcer says that Arto Filling 123 voted him, even though that no vote shouldn't have been made. Pencil is angry that he killed Bubble. There is no cake at stake. So the scene goes straight to the contest. The contest is a relay race, and Firey steps on Coiny's foot immediately after the contest is announced. Golf Ball is complaining about something unfair, and it just happened to be that the Squashy Grapes had more members than the Squishy Cherries, so they'll take much longer to run all the way around. So the announcer decides to make 4 of the members on the Squishy Cherries go twice. However, Bubble disagrees with this as she predicts that her own team will be tired by the second round. The announcer decides to make 4 members on the Squishy Grapes not participate. But Penn disagrees since the other team would be able to choose their best players while they can't. The announcer asks the Squishy Cherries for a suggestion of the rules. Bubble asks for 5 contestants from each team to compete, but the Squashy Grapes runners would be chosen randomly, to which the announcer decides that sounds fair. The announcer shows a 9-slice wheel with each contestant on the Squashy Grapes having their slice. The 5 contestants on the slices that the needle lands on will participate in the race. During spinning, a commercial from Blocky's Funny Doings International pops up, where Blocky rigs the Ice Cube Recovery Center off the top of a tree near a cliff, kills Ice Cube, and watches Ice Cube repeatedly fall off the cliff and die. After the commercial ends, the wheel lands on Firey. When the contestant wheel is spun again, Rocky barfs on the slice selected. Tennis Ball asks who's on the slice, but Snowball declines on scraping off the vomit. Golf Ball uses process of elimination to figure out that Ice Cube would be the next runner. Snowball complains about Ice Cube being weak and armless before the wheel is spun again. Firey spins the wheel, and the barf lands on Firey, much to the delight of Coiny. Leafy is chosen as the 3rd participant, and Golf Ball the 4th. Announcer reminds them that they have 1 spot left. Snowball spins the wheel and lands on Rocky, which he responds by shouting, "No." Firey is happy that Coiny is not a participant, so Coiny responds with a slap. Firey, Ice Cube, Leafy, Golf Ball, and Rocky participate for their team. The rest of the Squashy Grapes watch on. The contest comes with a catch. The contestant who is currently running must carry the contestant who runs the race after him or her. The last person in line doesn't carry anyone. When the race begins, Ice Cube melts after Firey carries her on his back, and a racer got a good lead for the Cherries. Firey melted Ice Cube and she was recovered, while Pen and Pencil extend the lead. Because Ice Cube has no arms, Leafy had to sit on her, but Leafy flew off when Ice Cube got onto the tree. When Leafy went back on, Match and Pencil went. When it was Leafy's time to run the race, she discovered that Golf Ball is heavy. She walked slowly. Match held onto Bubble so hard that she popped, and the Bubble Recovery Center was a few miles away. Bubble made it back and reminded Match not to hold onto her so tight. So, when Golf Ball carried Rocky, Rocky barfed on Golf Ball's eyes, causing her to run into the tree. But they made it back anyways, and Rocky didn't run or walk. So Golf Ball kicked him to the tree, and Bubble walked in that path, so she popped. Rocky was moving, but he walked very slowly, and Golf Ball angrily kicked him to the end. Leafy caught him and celebrated the Grapes' victory with Firey. Snowball and Coiny then expressed their relief for winning. Eraser blamed Bubble for the Cherries losing once again. The prize the Squashy Grapes got was an eliminated player. Coiny asked if they get to choose the player, but they don't, and the voters do instead by voting. The ending section shows that the Ice Cube Recovery Center on a tree while Ice Cube is being recreated, thrown off a cliff, and repeatedly killed numerous times because of Blocky's advertisement, while music plays. Effects are added to make it more dramatic. First of all, I like how this episode picks up right where it left off. That being the Cherries being trapped inside that room and them not being able to escape until they finish the puzzle. I like that continuity. I also like the interaction between Match and Pencil about how she never received a vote before. The Blocky's funny doings prank was cool, and the challenge wasn't really that boring since it's literally a race and the whole bubble recovery center thing being far away. And that music at the end where Ice Cube is dying over and over, that is cool. What I don't like about this episode is them using New Friendly in reverse. They also did that with other songs in this episode, which in my opinion sounds like pretty bad when you take like Kevin MacLeod's songs and then like you put them in reverse. It just doesn't sound that good in my opinion. I don't like the whole scene of them arguing with the announcer because that is annoying, and I didn't find the Snowball scream fast forward funny. But overall, I think this episode was interesting, and I think it was good for the reasons why listed above. B tier, 8 out of 10. Pencil is reading a book named How to Be Dumb, and she thinks this book is the quote-unquote the best. She then hears weird noises and goes with Match to see what the noises are. They notice that the Ice Cube Recovery Center is on a spring of a tree. They see Ice Cube falling, with Pencil mistakenly thinking that she's shrinking, and Match correcting her, saying she's falling. Then Ice Cube comes out of the Recovery Center again, knocking Pencil and Match, making them both fall off the cliff. Coiny and Snowball are sitting on the top of the Ice Cube Recovery Center creator, talking about the contestant who will join the Squashy Grapes. Announcer then tells them that they are about to find out. During Cake at Stake, the announcer tells the eliminated contestants that one of them will rejoin the game and become a part of the Squashy Grapes, and they will receive a win token if they rejoin. Coiny complains about the unfairness. In total, there are 28 votes. Luckily, everyone has at least got one vote. However, Woody only got one vote, and an announcer sends him back to the TLC. Pan and Spongy only got 4 votes, and the final 3 remain. Flower says if he kicks her out, she will crush the announcer with her recently refurbished announcer crusher. Flower also gets 4 votes, but before she can trigger the announcer crusher, she is sent to the TLC. The final 2 remain after receiving slaps for calling Blocky and Needle names. Announcer says that Blocky got 8 votes, while Needle got 7 votes, and she does not rejoin. Blocky then rejoins the Squashy Grapes. The contestants reach a new stage in the battle. As rewarded for making it to the final 15, announcer gives all of the remaining contestants BFDI posters. Since the squishy cherries are half as big as the grapes, the announcer decides to have the grapes break into 2 teams of 5. The announcer makes Leafy and Rocky the team captains for the respective teams due to them both having no enemies and having 5-letter long names. On Leafy's team is Ice Cube, Teardrop, Snowball, and Blocky. On Rocky's team is Tennis Ball, Golf Ball, Coiny, and Firey. Leafy decides to name her team the Squashy Grapes once again, while Firey wanted to be the Squashy Grapes as well. Golf Ball says their team has to be another name because the names can't be the same. The announcer mistakenly thought she wanted to call the team name another name and made it the name. Penn asked the announcer that last episode he had 2 people will be eliminated and he is confused. Announcer tells Penn that the voters will vote 2 people of the losing team and the winning team choose the other 2 onto their team. And Penn agrees. For the challenge, the teams have to compete in a 6-legged race. Snowball yells at the team to tie themselves up while the cherries garner the lead, with Penn being dragged along on his back due to having tied on the wrong leg. Because the grapes were taking too long to tie, Snowball then ties the team into one large ball. When Snowball dragged them, Penn is knocked by the tree that Eraser avoided. Firey and Coiny have a slap fight, and Rocky vomits into Coiny's mouth and face. Tennis Ball groans in annoyance. Bubble talks a lot throughout the challenge, making her team fall to 2nd place, and another name takes the lead. They see the bridge, and due to Firey being afraid of heights, he screams, making the cherries realize that they're behind and quickly run toward them. Another name sees a finish bun but loses when Rocky pukes and the team slips on his vomit. The cherries win, leaving another name in the 2nd. The grapes lose the challenge due to their lack of teamwork. At night, Snowball is exhausted, which causes him to fall asleep while crossing the tight rope, and he falls along with his team. Leafy states that when falling into a bottomless pit, they die of starvation. Okay, so this episode is good, but I think it would be unfair if I give it too high of a ranking, since I'm pretty sure that the episodes later in the series are even better than this. First of all, I like the first scene in which Pencil and Matt go over to the Ice Cube Recovery Center, and Pencil says how Ice Cube is shrinking, which is funny because that shows how dumb Pencil is. I have noticed how Coiny and Snowball talk a lot, and seeing them talk on a recovery center in this cool angle is nice, since up to that point we haven't seen any cool angles like this. Also, during the challenge, Penn makes funny noises and hits like the tree, which I think is funny. And so is Snowball trying to carry the team but failing really badly. I don't like how we never see the posters and how the challenge isn't really that exciting, but that is more of a minor thing. B tier, 8 out of 10. Continuing where Insectophobe's nightmare left off, the squashy grapes are still falling down the bottomless pit. Blocky states that the falling into pits is boring because they take so long. Leafy exclaims that bottomless is a lie. Ice Cube is confused. Blocky is surprised that there really is a bottom to this pit, and Leafy tells him that she sees the spikes at the bottom. Everyone screams, and a commercial break, with a box of paper slips appear while the grapes fall down. The spikes at the bottom open up just before impact, with Spongy beneath it, bouncing the squashy grapes back up. Once they make it back up, the announcer says that they have lost the challenge to the Cake at Stake area. At Cake at Stake, 29 votes were counted, and the announcer reveals the area had to have a makeover, which the grapes really like. Leafy comments on how squashy the seats are, and Blocky declines to use his win token because he got it in last episode. Ice Cube is safe with just 1 vote. The announcer gives her a lump of molten clay, which Snowball notices. Announcer says that the cake
was too expensive. Blocky is safe with 2 votes. Leafy is also safe with 3 votes, but she misses the prize. Teardrop and Snowball got the most votes with 15 and 18 votes respectively, so they leave the grapes, and then the squishy cherries start voting on one of them onto their team. In a vote of 3-2, Snowball is voted to go on their team, eliminating Teardrop. For the challenge, the team has to fill their tubs as high as they can with their tears. Eraser and Snowball refuses to cry for their team, while Pencil isn't able to force her tears out. Firey cannot cry because water is his poison. Then he and Coiny carol once again. Golf Ball then sheds 1 tear for her team to the delight of her and Tennis Ball. Blocky then uses Firey to melt Ice Cube. Announcer considers the challenge a tie since all of the teams has some water in their tub. Blocky objects, saying that his team has much more water than the others. As a tiebreaker, they have to ski down a mountain. Pencil rolls up into a ball of snow, saying it's Snowball. Match gets her mini match and decides to play Spongy Cake again, as announcer tells them to get down the mountain as soon as possible. Leafy tells Blocky about Ice Cube. Blocky says she will be recovered at the bottom of the mountain. He starts skiing, popping bubble in the process. The grapes have Leafy sitting on Blocky for their ski team, while the cherries have the entirety of themselves standing on Snowball. Another name has everyone standing on Tennis Ball while Coiny and Firey work the pulse. Golf Ball asks where Rocky is, and then Coiny sees him somewhere on the mountain. They then collide with Rocky, as do the cherries. The cherries and another name get rolled up into a snowball after being hit by Rocky, while the team of the squashy grapes, now without Ice Cube, make it to the bottom without being hit due to Blocky jumping, therefore coming in second. Ice Cube and Bubble wait at the bottom of the mountain. Because it's not known whether the cherries or the names were placed first or third, another tiebreaker has been considered between these teams. For the second tiebreaker and last contest, everyone has to stand on their hands. Announcer says that the last team standing will be safe and the last person standing will receive a win token. Another name loses almost immediately, but it's not clear who on the cherries will receive the win token. Rocky barfs on the cherry side, causing almost everyone to fall except Eraser, who wins his second win token, but is told he could only use 1 at a time. At the end of the episode, Golf Ball is sitting atop the tub of the another name and rejoices about her very first tear. She wants to make sure that she will remember that moment for the rest of her life. This episode isn't extremely boring, but not as good as the last one. I like them falling down a pit, I like the yellow face ad, the new music, but what I think really makes this episode C tier worthy, and what makes this episode not fall lower down, is the whole scene of Teardrop getting eliminated, although the rest of the episode wasn't really that suspense. I think they did a really good job at the suspense there. But what I dislike is the multiple tiebreakers they keep doing every episode, because it just makes things feel like they're going too fast. C tier, 7 out of 10. Now we're on to episode 11. Golf Ball and Tennis Ball argue about a cloud shape, while Firey gets barfed on by Rocky. Coiny laughs, leading to a fight with Firey. Golf Ball notices the announcer, who says another name lost last episode, and Cake at Stake starts. During Cake at Stake, announcer asks if Golf Ball or Firey want to use their win token. Firey doesn't, but Golf Ball does, reducing her votes. There are a total of 37 votes. Tennis Ball is safe with 2, Firey with 3, and Coiny with 5. Golf Ball and Rocky get 12 and 15 votes respectively. The announcer gives them an imaginary cake due to the cake being expensive. The Squashy Cherries unanimously choose Rocky, and Golf Ball is sent to the tiny loser chamber. For the challenge, contestants climb stairs and then tie balloons around their waist before the platform disappears. Firey screams due to his fear of heights, causing Coiny to tease him. The Squashy Grapes plan to attack the cherries first. Blocky and Pencil throws nails at the rival team. Pan accidentally pops Bubbles' balloon. Tennis Ball bounces to the ground, and Leafy uses a nail to pop matches in Pen's balloons, which hit Rocky. Coiny slaps Firey, guiding his balloon to a nail held by Blocky. Firey falls, and Tennis Ball bounces up. Snowball pops Pencil's balloon. When Firey hits the ground, he lights Bommy's fuse. Tennis Ball, realizing it's all down to Coiny, and Firey calls him a jerk. Snowball and Eraser throw nails at Leafy, but Blocky warns her and she dodges them. Coiny shatters Ice Cube with a nail and uses a basket of nails for protection, but both his and the basket's balloon pop. Another name loses again. Bommy explodes. Leafy and Blocky improvise by popping balloons, and the Grapes win the challenge. Another name goes to Cake at Stake again. Now, what I like about this episode is Tennis Ball and Golf Ball arguing about what they think the cloud looks like. I think the suspense on whether or not Golf Ball or Rocky are going to get out is cool. The challenge is fun because it takes place in the sky. And Leafy dodging the nails, it was cool. I don't like the whole Firey and Coiny slapping each other since that was repetitive. And again, I don't think this episode is horrible because I like the suspense. The challenge was interesting, but this episode is still kind of generic. C tier, 7 out of 10. Now we're on to episode 12. At the beginning of the episode, Leafy accidentally pops Bubble while trying to read her book. Firey tells Coiny he is worthless because he is a penny, but Coiny says he is priceless. They argue, and Tennis Ball tries to calm them down. The announcer calls for Cake at Stake. Firey is safe with 9 votes, while Coiny and Tennis Ball leave the team with 22 and 30 votes respectively. The Squashy Grapes pick Tennis Ball to stay, and Coiny is eliminated. Announcer says the teams are broken up, and the contestants receive a BFDI DDS as a prize. The contest is to climb 3 ladders, with announcer throwing water balloons at the contestants. Rocky uses his bark to reach the top, and everyone except Tennis Ball reaches the top. Announcer gives everyone 30 bonus points, and the gray squares below them change to towers, showing their points. Win tokens will be traded in for 15 points. The contestants get points based on their performance. Pen gets 30, Snowball 20, Blocky 15, Ice Cube 12, Leafy 10, Match 8, Pencil 6, Eraser 4, Firey 3, Bubble 2, Rocky 1, and Tennis Ball gets 0 points. Elimination votes reduce points. Bubble -1, Ice Cube -2, Leafy and Eraser -3, Match and Pen -4, Blocky -10, Firey -14, Rocky -15, Snowball -18, and Tennis Ball -25. The voting will between the bottom third, Snowball, Bubble, Rocky, and Tennis Ball. Okay. I'm gonna say that this episode is bad. There are a few things I like about it, like the starting Firey and Coiny interaction. Coiny's last speech before getting eliminated is funny. Firey saying that he tastes peanut butter randomly is funny. But everything else about this episode is bad. But what I dislike about this episode is the whole point system that doesn't help this series at all and just makes things more confusing than it needs to be. The challenge is to climb ladders that isn't interesting. Well, actually, if the challenge itself isn't entertaining, then you don't really have much of an episode. F tier, 5.7 out of 10. Leafy throws a ball, and Snowball pops Bubble with his finger. Pencil tells Snowball not to kill anyone, but Snowball ignores her. Blocky is knocked off a pole by Leafy's ball, lands on a remote, and causes a chain reaction that kills 6 characters, including Pencil, Snowball, Blocky, Firey, and Ice Cube. In the bottom 4 from the last episode, Snowball, Bubble, Rocky, and Tennis Ball face elimination. 80 viewers voted, and Bubble is safe with 4 votes. Rocky is also safe with 11, Snowball is eliminated with 47 votes, and Tennis Ball is safe with 18 votes. Firey slaps Tennis Ball, who then kicks Firey. The contestants' current scores are shown, with the bottom third known as the Danger Zone, 8th to 11th place. The contest is to find red balls hidden in random locations with points awarded based on the order that they are found. The contest begins and Firey continues slapping Tennis Ball, who walks away. Match and Pencil find balls, but Match's ball is a maroon ball, so she gets a negative 10-point penalty. Leafy gives a maroon ball to Ice Cube, who gets a 10-point penalty. Tennis Ball turns in a red ball vomited by Rocky, earning 20 points, while Rocky gets 15 points for another red ball. Firey gets 12 points for finding a red ball. Match turns in a red ball and receives 10 points. Blocky kicks Bubble, popping her and taking her 8 points. Pen has a red apple, and Eraser gets another negative 10-point penalty for a maroon ball. Leafy finds a red ball, earning her 6 points. Pen turns in a red ball, earning 3 points. Ice Cube and Eraser finally turn in their red balls, earning 2 and 1 points respectively. The voting is between the contestants in the Danger Zone: Matt, Ice Cube, Rocky, and Tennis Ball. In my opinion, I think the episode isn't good, but it's not bad either. I still don't like the point system, but the challenge was done alright. I like the cake being fish. Firey slapped the tennis ball thing. It was funny at first. The challenge of finding a red ball was done well, since contestants had to find a red ball. And I like the suspense near the end of who is going to win. I don't like that scene in the start where everyone dies, because I don't find that funny. And also at the start, them complaining about the announcer changing the K and steak place and then liking it. That was just bad. Just because it was annoying and didn't have much of a point. The after credit scene of Rocky vomiting red balls was pretty bad, because it was just gross and had no purpose. It wasn't funny or anything. I don't think this episode was good, but the challenge was better than crossing a bridge and having 1 million different tiebreakers. So definitely a C tier, 6.5 out of 10. Episode 14. In the beginning, Eraser tells Pen to jump across a pit. Pen succeeds, but Eraser hangs on the end. A change of characters come to help, but they all fall into the pit. Match, Ice Cube, Rocky, and Tennis Ball are up for elimination. Ice Cube is safe with 9 votes. Tennis Ball is safe with 34 votes. Match is eliminated with 66 votes. And Rocky is safe with 49 votes. After Match is teleported to the tiny loser chamber, Pencil is upset but allows Ice Cube to join the alliance. The announcer says An eliminated contestant will rejoin the game. The contest is to bring as many loaves as bread into a basket. Spongy wins with 38 loaves and rejoins the game. The contestants' current scores are updated, and the next challenge involves retrieving a marble collection from a vat of hydrochloric acid. Tennis ball wins 15 points. The next contest is to jump over hurdles on a conveyor. Contestants earn points based on how long they stay on. Erasers out first, followed by Pen and Firey. Spongy and Leafy fall off at the third hurdle, while Pencil and Ice Cube fail at the fourth. Tennis Ball and Rocky are knocked out by the fifth, and Bubbles popped by the sixth. The final score determines that Firey, Leafy, Eraser, and Ice Cube are up for elimination. Okay, I think this episode is a C tier. I like Ice Cube joining the alliance after Max gets out. I also like the challenge that the elimination contestants do to rejoin. The whole people drowning in bread was funny, and so was everyone's reaction to Spongy rejoining the game. What I don't like was the finding marbles and jumping over hurdles thing, which isn't really like the most exciting thing. C tier, 7 out of 10. Now we are on to episode 15. Pencil, Bubble, and Ice Cube are playing catch. Pencil says it's no fun without Matt and calls Ice Cube garbage in comparison. At Cake and Steak, David receives 39 votes, even though that he shouldn't have. In total, 220 votes were cast, 62 more than the previous episode. The prizes were nickels. Leafy was safe with 20 votes, Firey with 29. The bottom two were Ice Cube and Eraser. Ice Cube was safe with 33 votes, and Eraser gets eliminated with 99 votes. For the challenge, contestants could choose between a barf bag contest or a taco contest. Pencil, Ice Cube, Bubble, Rocky, and Blocky choose the barf bag contest, while Firey, Pen, Leafy, Spongy, Tennis Ball choose the taco contest. In the barf bag contest, contestants had to stay on their platform the longest. Pencil knocked Rocky off with a bowling ball, then threw a pillow to stop the leak. Pencil made an ice cream cone with Ice Cube and barf, causing Bubble to fall in and pop. Pencil fell out as the barf leaked again. Results: Rocky 17 seconds, Blocky 37 seconds, Bubble 48 seconds, Ice Cube 55 seconds, and Pencil 60 seconds. In the taco contest, contestants make tacos with provided ingredients. Tennis Ball and Spongy finished their tacos quickly. Pen asked Leafy for half of her taco, paying with a paper slip. Firey burnt his taco but managed to finish. Contestants in the tiny loser chamber tasted the tacos. Tennis Ball got 50 points, Spongy 80 points, Leafy 60 points, Pen 30 points, Firey 70 points. Firey, Tennis Ball, Leafy, and Spongy were safe. Pen, Bubble, and Rocky were up for elimination. At the end, Eraser wonders if he and the other eliminated contestants will get more tacos. I like this episode. I know how I said that I don't like it when they have multiple tiebreakers or challenges in general, but I like this episode because I think they're able to make the two challenges thing work, and they make it work by actually making it entertaining. I like how the episode starts with Pencil directly saying mean stuff to Ice Cube. I like how everyone guesses wrong what's underneath the cover except Firey. What I don't like about this episode is the Cake and Steak prize being a nickel and the point system, but overall this episode is good. 8 out of 10, B tier. Pen, Bubble, and Rocky are in the danger zone and do Cake and Steak. Blueberry pie is the prize. 259 votes were collected. Pencil, Spongy, Firey, Blocky, Tennis Ball, Leafy, and Ice Cube get cake. Bubble is safe with 23 votes. Pen is eliminated with 144 votes, and Rocky is safe with 92 votes. The 16th contest is a bowling contest. Armless people are disqualified. Contestants bowl in alphabetical order. Blocky knocks down 7 pins. Bubble gets a gutter ball. Firey burns the ball and gets a strike. Leafy knocks down 3 pins. Pencil throws the ball, which shatters Ice Cube, then knocks down to 5 pins. Instead of receiving points, contestants can subtract points from others based on pins knocked down. 30 points per pin. Leafy subtracts 90 points equally. Pencil subtracts 150 points but keeps Ice Cube's Bubbles score intact. Blocky subtracts 210 points, draining all 98 of Bubbles points and 56 from Leafy and Pencil. Firey subtracts 300 points, targeting Ice Cube, Spongy, Blocky, Leafy, and Pencil. Announcer puts all contestants except Firey for elimination as he bowled a strike. Okay, I enjoyed the puppet scene. That was cool. But everything else about this episode is bad. We see them do a challenge, which is bowling, but the problem is that they do the challenge for less than a minute. The majority of the screen time of this episode is all about characters taking away points from others. I like the bowling challenge, and I like seeing Leafy's personality, but still, I can't give this episode an F tier because the challenge was interesting and the puppet scene was cool, but D tier for sure. 4 out of 10. Episode 17. Leafy gives a friendly greeting to Bubble and offers her a gift, which Bubble appreciates. Pencil suspects it might be a trap, but Bubble ignores her and finds its spring shoes instead. Pencil becomes jealous and asks for a present too. Leafy takes Bubble's shoes and gives them the pencil, causing Bubble to fall and pop. Later, Leafy gives another pair to Ice Cube, who also falls and gets stuck. Bubble recovers and believes Ice Cube and Pencil stole her shoes, so she takes them back, ending up with 2 pairs. During the cake at stake, Firey is safe with immunity. Ice Cube, Bubble, Leafy, and Spongy receives knives, but avoid them. Pencil, despite receiving 38 votes, is safe. Rocky avoids his knife with the barfing skills. Tennis Ball is safe, but Blocky is eliminated with 112 votes. The 17th contest is a frisbee throwing challenge. Pencil pairs with Bubble, Leafy with Ice Cube, Rocky with Spongy, and Firey with Tennis Ball. Contestants must finish before the sunset to avoid penalties. Pencil and Bubble finish first, followed by Spongy and Rocky. Firey and Tennis Ball finish next, while Leafy and Ice Cube receive a penalty of negative 1,000 points. Pencil and Bubble receives 200 points, Spongy and Rocky get 100 points, and Tennis Ball and Firey get 15 points. Ice Cube gets rewarded for the least votes. The scoreboard is updated, and the contestants vote on who to leave BFDI, while voters vote who will join the game. Overall, BFDI episode 17 was a meh episode. Seeing Leafy and Bubble talk was cool. This episode was interesting considering what we'll see later on in the season. This challenge was not good. The Blocky's funny doings was interesting, but mainly what this episode is known for is the recommended characters being shown at the end. But besides that, there's nothing really cool about this episode. D tier, 4 out of 10. Now we're on to episode 18. The episode begins with the eliminated contestants in the TLC chatting. Blocky wants to escape, and Flower complains about being in it for 16 months. Pin suggests escaping when the TLC opens for 5 minutes a day. The announcer interrupts their plans. During Cake at Stake, Tennis Ball is scared and Leafy reassures him. Budget cuts are announced and instead of a cake, a cracker is used. Firey, Spongy, Pencil, Rocky, and Bubble get cracker pieces. Votes are cast. After 450 votes, David joins the game, and the other recommended characters are all sent to the locker of losers. The challenge is a staring contest. Round 1 is Rocky versus Ice Cube. Rocky wins. Pencil versus Spongy. Pencil wins. Firey versus David. David wins. Leafy versus Bubble. Bubble wins. Round 2, Rocky versus Pencil. Pencil wins. David versus Bubble. David wins. And the final round is between Pencil versus David. Pencil wins after David blinks due to David being allergic to sunrise. Pencil wins the tournament, but her points are placed at the bottom 3 because the board can only hold 2-digit numbers. I think that this episode is good. B tier. What makes it good is the side plot of the eliminated contestants trying to escape. I know I didn't really mention it, but like there was like the side plot during the challenge. The cake at stake for which the recommended characters would join the game, that was cool and good. That one joke that TV made, I know that the challenge is a staring contest, but the fact that it's set up like a fighting match is cool, and the suspense of winning the challenge is also cool. What I don't like is how unfair Tennis Ball's elimination was, but I can't really blame the writers if they want to get Tennis Ball out. But what is also unfair was Pencil losing when she should have won because of the scoreboard. But anyways, B tier, 8 out of 10. Episode 19. Firey holds an emergency button and disintegrates Bubble. Pencil gets angry and does the same thing to Firey, Leafy, and the recommended characters. Spongy topples on to Pencil, making her drop the emergency button. Rocky eats the bun and says something and barfs on Pencil. 464 votes were collected, 205 more than the previous episode. Instead of cake, it's a collection of shovels caked with mud. The 5 contestants who were safe reject the quote-unquote cake, causing the announcer to cry acid, killing Ice Cube, David, and Rocky. Firey got 64 votes, Spongy got 141 votes, and Pencil got 259 votes, the most at that time. Before the announcer eliminates Pencil, she exclaims, "What? This machine thing must be broken." She slams the announcer before being sent to the tiny loser chamber via the laser teleportation device. Afterward, the announcer states that Pencil was such a menace anyways. Bubble moans that with Pencil gone, their alliance is getting too small. Ice Cube says Needy got to join, which results in a slap. The announcer gives out teddy bears to the contestants, 1 per point. He announces that because the remaining contestants reach a new stage in the battle, the final 7, there will be no more points, and the scoreboard is crushed. The contest is to ride a unicycle. Nobody can balance at first. Bubble falls and pops. Leafy is the first to balance and helps Ice Cube. However, they go the wrong way, fall, revealing a huge drop down an unnamed mountain that says "Watch BFDI." The announcer says that the right way is the left. Firey balances on the unicycle and slowly slides down, but Spongy crashes into him, and they fall into a hole. The announcer laughs, "Haha, what a failure." Bubble reaches the slide with fear, bounces on Spongy, and accidentally gets to the finish line first, saying "Yoil cake." Rocky barfs backwards to fly over to the hole, getting the second immunity. Firey quickly jumps to the finish line. David slides down, making a weird face and voice, and sings "Mary Had a Little Lamb" before bouncing on Spongy. Firey jumps before it's too late and burns David, but Firey gets to the third and last immunity. Bubble gives her immunity to Leafy after Ice Cube declares that she is not in the alliance anymore, to make Leafy think that Bubble is nice. So I like how Rocky is talking in this episode. Well, even though it's like a tiny bit, it doesn't really matter that much. Announcer crying acid was cool, and so was the one hand joke. I like how they got rid of the point system because that just made things more complicated than it needed to be. The animation and also the announcer's diary showing up was cool. The challenge was alright, but not really the best. David's singing was very not funny and was very annoying. But besides the few good things about this episode, like the point system going away, this episode wasn't really good. It just feels like filler. D tier, 5 out of 10. Episode 20, we have 5 episodes left. Firey and Leafy are playing tic-tac-toe, and Leafy wins her 73rd game in a row. Rocky starts barfing, which makes Leafy believe he's sick. As she runs to help him, she gets caught in a net and thrown into space. Firey, Rocky, Spongy, Ice Cube, and David are also taken into space. Bubble wonders what's happening as Ice Cube screams, "In space." They see Announcer floating. Firey asks Announcer why they are in space, and the announcer says it's due to budget cuts right before the intro plays. After the intro, Bubble notices the Big Dipper, takes a star from it, and plays catch with Ice Cube. Leafy freaks out about the missing star. Announcer announces they still need to do cake at stake even in space. Announcer got an ice cream cake instead of a normal cake because a normal cake would explode in space. 545 votes were cast. Bubble, Rocky, Firey, and Leafy get the ice cream cake. Ice Cube is the first one safe with 72 votes. There is no drum roll when it's showing who got the most votes. Spongy gets 142 votes, and David is eliminated with 331 votes. The double teleportation device is used for the first time. Leafy and Firey talk about David. Announcer wants to be friends, but Firey rejects them. Announcer gives everyone immunity, but says they could lose it. Ice Cube gets hit by an asteroid, and Rocky is abducted by a UFO. Rocky barfs, destroying the UFO, so Ice Cube and Rocky lose their immunity. The contest is to get into a spaceship. Spongy is the first to do so. Bubble and Leafy get into theirs while Firey struggles. Firey manages to get into his spaceship quickly. Leafy says they should get Spongy, but he dodges all the laser shots. Bubble starts to get sucked into a black hole, but it disappears due to a budget cut. Firey's spaceship is also sold due to budget cuts, while Bubble still has hers and shoots Firey. Bubble wins immunity and exclaims "Yoil Cake." The contestants are recovered with a Master Recovery Center. Bubble gives the second immunity ticket to Leafy again. Announcer announces that one of the eliminated contestants will rejoin the game and that the eliminated characters will decide who goes home instead of the viewers. At the end, Leafy asks Announcer how they could breathe and talk in space, and Announcer replies with budget cut. I think this episode was calm, but not really boring since the entire episode was in outer space. I like seeing the start of Firey and Leafy's friendship. I like seeing them going into space. The new cake at stake intro is cool. I also think it's kind of funny seeing the intro play twice. I like seeing what the eliminated contestants have to say also at the end scene. However, this episode isn't great or anything. C tier, 7 out of 10. Episode 21. The episode starts with the announcer asking the contestants if they want to go back to Earth. Everyone raises their limbs. Leafy and Bubble agree that staying on Earth is better. The announcer reveals that the spaceship is out of fuel and jokes that it runs on big yellow squishy contestants. Everyone pushes Spongy into a fuel containment unit. Before cake at stake, Firey and Leafy are happy that they'll go back onto Earth. Ice Cube gets 10 votes
and is sent to the tiny loser chamber. Snowball receives the least votes with only 8. Pin, Golf Ball, Blocky, Woody, Eraser, Pen, Match, David, and Tennis Ball are eliminated. The final 5 are Flower, Needle, Teardrop, Coiny, and Pencil. Coiny believes he will win, but Pencil is not rejoining with only 60 votes. Flower re-enters the competition with 205 votes, while Teardrop gets 148 votes. The next contest is a long jump competition for immunity. Spongy jumps a few meters, Rocky hesitates but magically flies. Bubble lands a bit farther than Spongy, Firey lands behind Rocky, and Flower does a small step claiming she won. Leafy wins immunity by jumping into Yoyo-land. She gives her immunity to Spongy, feeling bad about burning him. The voting begins between Flower, Bubble, Firey, Rocky, and Leafy. During the voting screen, Flower warns not to vote for her or she'll twist them. She points out that she is the least voted eliminated contestant since barriers and pitfalls, showing how wonderful she was. This episode was good. I think it was better than the last one because we got more character interactions, but I don't think it's worthy of a B tier, just a C tier. I think them killing Spongy to fuel the spaceship was funny. The cake at stake intro was cool. I think the fact that everyone was voting for Ice Cube because of the heat from the TLC was cool. I also like how we got to see multiple different cake at stake intros. Pen saying the names of all the people who voted for him to rejoin the game, and then saying that he owes all of them money was funny. And lastly, Flower having an emotional breakdown when it's just down to her and Teardrop. Overall, a good episode, 7 out of 10, C tier. Episode 22. This episode begins when Firey and Flower are standing on a stone bridge. Firey shows Flower a bug, which she panics and smashes, destroying the bug. They fall into water, but Leafy saves Firey, causing a chain reaction that makes Spongy fall and crush the announcer. Spongy gets shocked before the intro plays. At Cake at Stake, 844 votes were cast. Spongy has immunity with 0 votes. Firey gets 64 votes. Leafy, 69. Bubble 80, and Rocky is eliminated with 319 votes. Flower slaps Leafy when she declines a high five. As a reward for making it to the final 5, the contestants get houses. Flower complains about how small her house is, Leafy is satisfied, and Spongy crushes his house. Then they compete to escape a volcano. Firey swims through the magma while everyone else dies repeatedly. Leafy, Bubble, and Flower eventually manage to escape by jumping onto Spongy. They all tie, leading to a beauty contest. The replacement boxes declare Flower and Firey the most beautiful, putting Leafy, Bubble, and Spongy up for elimination. The contestants turn to metal after eating the Yoil cake, and Bubble looks confused before succumbing to the Yoil cake's effect. I think this was a good episode. What I like about this episode is the beginning interaction with Firey and Flower, and I also like seeing the announcer die because it's pretty unexpected. And I like the argument that they get after the announcer dies. I also like how they're using both speaker boxes, the Firey and Flower speaker box. I like the Cake at Stake, and I also like the Flower speaker box telling Firey why she got such a small piece of cake for him, and also that piece of cake is poison. I like that they all get rewards, and the challenge is pretty fun, and the volcano erupting was cool, and also the ending with the whole beauty contest and with Firey and Flower both getting immunity is funny because of the clear bias, and also the Flower speaker box yelling at one of the contestants being eliminated, like at the end there. So overall, B tier, 8 out of 10. Episode 23. The episode begins with all the contestants being metal after eating the Yoil cake from the previous episode. Firey speaker box wants the TLC to be fixed as the middle section was torn apart by the spaceship in episode 21.
Flower throws a bowling ball at him, but he dodges it and it destroys her speaker box instead. A message falls from the sky. An announcer recovery center will be built soon. The contestants are then used to fix the TLC with their metal. They are melted in a furnace while debating on who should go first. After being fixed, the TLC has a bulging body with the word loser scribbled in it in red marker. Firey speaker box notices that Ice Cube is missing from the TLC. Leafy apologizes to Ice Cube before she is sent to the TLC. At Cake at Stake, the original announcer returns from the announcer recovery center, falling from the sky, popping bubble. The original announcer thinks that Firey speaker box is an imposter, but he is just a replacement. Several more speaker boxes appear, causing discomfort to the original announcer. Cheese orb is used for the Cake at Stake when the announcer cuts it into 4 pieces. Leafy feels bad for the cheese orb, and Firey mentions it was his friend. Flower and Firey won immunity last episode, so they get cake. Bubble is safe for 97 votes, leaving Spongy and Leafy. Leafy avoids the axe with 287 votes, while Spongy is eliminated with a new record of 432 votes. The contest is the previous 22 episodes challenges combined, one by one. Episode 1A, Go Across the Balance Beam. Flower pushes Firey and Leafy down because she needs more space. Firey dies and Leafy continues swimming. Episode 1B, choose a boat and sail across the Coiny Canal. Episode 2, climb the rock wall. Flower remembers she never did this challenge and claims it's unfair. Flower pops bubble when she refuses to help her. Leafy is eaten by a sea monster. Episode 3, pass the test. Firey and Flower pass the test, while Bubble fails multiple times, but Leafy helps Bubble to pass. Episode 4, make a cake. Episode 5, go across the bridge. Episode 6, go across 3 islands. Episode 7, solve a jigsaw puzzle. Episode 8, run to a tree. Episode 9, do a 3-legged lace. Episode 10, cry, ski, and do a handstand. Episode 11, float across with a balloon. Episode 12, climb the ladder. Episode 13, find a red ball. Episode 14, fill the basket with bread and jump over the hurdles. Episode 15, stand on the platform above, vomit, and make a taco. Episode 16, knock down all 10 pens. Episode 17, catch 3 frisbees. Episode 18, don't blink. Episode 19, ride the unicycle. Episode 20, get into the spaceship and avoid lasers. Episode 21, do the long jump. Episode 22, escape the volcano. Bubble arrives first and wins immunity. Firey lets Leafy know that now that there is an announcer recovery center, they can kill the announcer as many times as they want and he's still gonna come back to give them Dream Island. A montage shows of the contestants repeatedly killing the announcers in various ways. Overall, I think the episode was good. I think the start with all of them dying because the Firey speaker box needs metal to fix the TLC, I think that was funny. I like the Cake at Stake intro, as always, the points are gone. I also like seeing the other speaker boxes interacting with the announcer speaker box. The challenge, which is all the other challenges combined, is pretty cool. However, although the challenge for this episode is cool, I feel like they didn't really do much with it besides the first challenge and then them going to back to the volcano. But overall, a good episode. C tier, 7 out of 10. Episode 24. The episode begins with Flower demanding Bubble to apologize to her for not giving her immunity. Leafy then shows up and apologizes for her, and Flower accepts the apology and walks away. When Bubble asks why she did that, Leafy explains that she wanted to make up with Bubble and be friends again. Bubble declines her friendship proposal, explaining that if they keep going back and forth between being friends and enemies back to back forever, and decides they should stop being friends altogether. This angers Leafy, who decides to hang out with Firey instead. Later, Leafy and Firey ride Firey's Ferris wheel. Firey explains that there was a water wheel on the Ferris wheel, which confuses Leafy because Firey is allergic to water. Firey then explains that he had it replace the waterfall with a lava fall, and no way of getting out of the Ferris wheel. Leafy ends up burning to death. Cake at stake then happens. Everyone except Leafy was at the elimination area, in which Firey asked the announcer why she hadn't returned from the Master Recovery Center. The announcer then explains that he had to sell all of the recovery centers due to budget cuts, and that Leafy was truly dead, which upsets Firey a lot. Firey bets his life earnings that the announcer was lying, and the announcer accepts the bet, stating that he did sell all the recovery centers. As a result, he won all of Firey's life earnings. The announcer then explains that, as he said in a previous episode, if the votes went down again, BFDI would be cancelled. He then slowly counts the votes on screen. After a Blocky's Funny Doings international commercial, a commercial boycotting commercial, and a commercial about non-slip shoes, it shows that they only received 735 votes, which is 81 votes fewer than last time. Announcer then announces that BFDI was cancelled, meaning no one would win Dream Island. As earlier, a bug attacked Flower and laid eggs on her. When she finds out BFDI has been cancelled, Flower becomes furious and throws the eggs at the announcer. Not knowing what they are, the eggs hatch, releasing thousands upon millions of man-eating bugs onto the surface. Everyone starts running in fear while the bugs chase after them, eating a large stone along the way. Meanwhile, in the tiny loser chamber, Blocky overhears that BFDI is cancelled and tells everyone so. Exciting pen, because that means everyone will be released from the TLC. Coiny hears footsteps, thinking that it's the announcer coming to set the losers free. But it turns out to be the bugs, who eat the TLC, killing everyone inside. The bugs then kill the recommended characters, who scream in fear. Still being chased by the bugs, the remaining survivors have to jump across a cliff to the other side of a ledge. Everyone makes it across except Flower, who gets hit by a meteorite by her misfortune, killing her. Bubble then suggests to Firey that he should burn the bugs, but when Firey tries to, he gets eaten. Even so, the bugs burn up, but not all of them are killed, as pointed out by Bubble. The announcer explains that it was obvious that the bugs weren't dying at all, because he built them to be strong, but then realizes that Bubble heard it. The announcer tells her to forget about it, but Bubble doesn't, and is less than pleased to find out that the announcer built the bugs. Having realized that he had confessed to building the bugs, he pops Bubble to keep it a secret. Then he presses a button titled Delete Bugs, and all the bugs disappear. The announcer doesn't know what to do next because everyone has died. He then points out that David is still alive because he's immune to bugs. The announcer then realizes that he has a David closer and hatches a plan. 10 minutes later, the announcer is shown back at the elimination area, as he decided not to cancel BFDI. The cake was a red velvet, and 735 votes have been revealed. Multiple Davids can be heard in the background randomly screaming "Aw, seriously" after each sentence the announcer says. Bubble had immunity last time, as it's shown that announcer cloned David 20 times. 16 for the TLC members, 1 pumping air into his head to represent Bubble, 1 set on fire represent Firey,
and one with petals representing flower, and one covered in leaves representing Leafy. Firey is safe with 86 votes, and between Flower and Leafy, Leafy is safe with 125 votes, and Flower is eliminated with 524 votes. Suddenly, everyone comes back to life, as Leafy stated that they faked their deaths. A montage of every elimination is shown, showing that Flower was the first and last person to be eliminated before the finale. Flower refuses to be eliminated and uses a mirror to deflect the lasers that teleport people to the TLC. One laser hits a bush, another hits the sun, the third one hits the TLC itself, teleporting back where it was. And the last one travels around the world and hits Flower from behind, eliminating her for good. The voting is between Bubble, Firey, and Leafy, with the person with the most votes winning Dream Island. If there are at least 1,000 votes, Jacknjellify will make a second season of BFDI, as it states in the end. In the end, the announcer asked the 3 finalists what they would want for their rewards for making it to the final 3. It could be anything they asked for. Leafy asked for world peace, an announcer grants it by doing nothing because he thinks the world is peaceful enough. Bubble wants Yoil cake, but due to budget cuts her wish is denied. Firey wants his life earnings back, but it turns out the announcer has spent it on each contestant's new recovery centers. Firey asks why he bought them, to which the announcer responds by killing them to bringing them back to life, and then crushed himself. They kept on getting hurt and coming back out of the recovery centers, just like the previous episode. Okay, I think this episode is easily an 8 tier. The thumbnail is great and the entire video is great, all without there ever being a challenge. But there's more about this episode than just that. I like how it starts with Flower is mad at Bubble for not giving her immunity, instead of being mad at her for killing her last episode. I like the conflict between Leafy and Bubble continuing. I like the whole joke between the announcer and Firey, when Firey gives up all of his life savings. The Blocky's funny doing ad was funny, but in my opinion, I like the no ads foundation and more, because it's literally just an ad against ads and talking about donations and stuff, and also mentioning a movie with like a silly title is funny. Announcer saying that BFDI is cancelled is funny, but it's also funny because how crazy this episode ends up being after he says that. The bug chase is fun. I like seeing people in the TLC talking about them being released. And lastly, I think the joke where Leafy says, "We faked our deaths, obviously," and the announcer just responding with whatever. The jokes with David's weren't funny. I don't like David as a character at all. And I think the flashback was kind of annoying, but I understand that they want to put a flashback to make the viewers who watch the show up to this point to feel more impactful. So I guess I can't be too mad at this. Definitely an 8 tier, 8.5 out of 10. Now we're on the last episode, episode 25. The episode begins with Eraser talking to Pen. He thinks that it would be cool if the first spoken word of the first episode, the second spoken word of the second episode, and so on until the 25th episode created a message. Pen guesses, but he says that it would be probably nothing. The announcer says that 22 cakes have come and gone, but none of them are as magnificent as the grand cake, which is a version of all the previous other cakes smashed together. Bubble says it's a hideous cake. The announcer asks Bubble when she was allowed to speak. Bubble says never, but moves on to the cake at stake. At the end of the intro, the eliminated contestants shout cake at stake, except David, who says, "Aw, seriously." The announcer announces that they'll be releasing the 18 eliminated contestants. Firey disagrees, saying that the eliminated contestants have gone insane, but the announcer releases them anyways, and Flower bites a part of the announcer off. Announcer says that the pastry is all the pastries mashed together, and then reveals that they got 870 votes, so there will not be a season 2.
it would turn out to be incorrect because there was a season 2. Which disappoints Leafy. Announcer says that before they announce the winner of BFDI, the eliminated contestants will pick who they want to win Dream Island. Flower votes for Leafy, Spongy, Blocky, Woody, Pin, Coiny, Eraser, Snowball, Golf Ball, Match, Pen, Tennis Ball, Pencil, David, Ice Cube, and Rocky also vote for Leafy. Needle votes for Firey. Everyone else who voted for Leafy slaps Needle. Announcer asks Teardrop if she will vote, but she shakes her head. Match votes for Bubble. Everyone who slapped Needle slaps Match, and she gets set on fire. Leafy is overjoyed that she got the most votes. The announcer says that the winner is the person who got the most votes from the viewers. Then he announces that Bubble got 3rd place with only 228 of the total 870 votes. The announcer says that for a prize, Bubble will get a cashew. Leafy takes the cashew and gives it to Bubble, who happily yells Yoil Cake. Announcer announces that the winner is Firey with 406 votes, and Leafy loses with 236 votes. Announcer throws the grand cake at Firey. When Coiny hears that, he faints. Announcer wants Firey to choose who he wants to come with him on Dream Island. Pencil and Match tell Firey to choose them. Firey says okay, and Bubble says Yoil Cake. Pencil, Match, and Bubble are in. Because Needle was the only person to vote for Firey, she's led into Dream Island. Snowball asks, what about us? Firey says, yeah, you would come in. Pen says, yeah, thanks. And Snowball, Eraser, Blocky, Pen, Golf Ball, Tennis Ball, Rocky, Teardrop, Woody, Ice Cube, Pin, and Spongy are let in as well. Firey says, wait, David, I don't know about you. David answers with his catchphrase, aw, seriously. So Firey lets David in. He also lets Flower even though he thinks she's a jerk. Leafy is happy that Firey let Coiny in, but he won't let Leafy in. Leafy argues why wouldn't he let her in while letting everyone else in. Even Coiny. Firey says that in the previous episode, Leafy tried to get out of his Ferris wheel and he was upset. Then he slams the door shut. Leafy, enraged, buys Dream Island from the announcer via her cell phone, but the island disappears due to budget slicings. Flower says she wants Dream Island only to get hit by a meteoroid. Bubble asks the announcer who sold Dream Island to, but the announcer can't tell her. Pin wonders where Leafy is. Pencil tells Firey not to tell her he rejected Leafy from Dream Island. All of a sudden, Firey spots a UFO which abducts Tennis Ball, Match, Snowball, and Woody. Bubble insults Flower for her self-centeredness. That enrages Flower, so she goes on a rampage destroying the recovery centers. Firey tells her to stop, Coiny agrees, and Blocky says that's the first time Firey and Coiny haven't argued. Firey and Coiny then hug each other, which grosses out Flower. Pen asks Flower if she's finally stopped her evil doing, but she keeps destroying recovery centers. Eraser, Blocky, Icy, Pen, Teardrop, and Golf Ball cross the gate to ask Leafy if she owns Dream Island. She says no, but then she says she shouldn't be angry because Firey never got Dream Island at all. Pen asks how she knows that. Leafy says she heard him through the wall. Eraser objects, saying that the wall is soundproof. Golf Ball figures out what happened. She figures out that Leafy bought Dream Island so Firey couldn't have it. Golf Ball says it's all her fault. Then Leafy starts turning evil Leafy, then turning back into herself. Eraser points out that she's becoming evil, which surprises Ice Cube. Pin exclaims, "What? That's crazy!" Golf Ball says that they should see what's going on inside Leafy. Eraser agrees. Then Eraser and Pin rip Leafy in half, revealing a football within. Golf Ball says she didn't mean it literally. Eraser then makes a very sad face as Flower destroys the remaining recovery centers, ending with the Master Recovery Center. She then pops Bubble, killing her forever. Pen questions if Flower really wanted to do this. When Flower is about to respond, she gets crushed by the UFO containing Match, Snowball, Woody, and Tennis Ball. Match is excited that she survived the crash. Pen tells her that she killed someone after crashing. Match fears it's Pencil who died, but when she finds out it's actually Flower, she is relieved and says, well, that's good then, and gives Blocky a high five. Snowball asks Tennis Ball where Woody is, to which he replies that he died. Snowball agrees, saying that the crash was pretty hard. Tennis Ball tells Snowball that Woody died before they crashed, as his fear of the color gray caused him to have a heart attack. Then a bunch of speakers come, fix the UFO, board it with the announcer, and they fly away. Pencil announces that Rocky can't barf anymore, and everybody celebrates because of this. Firey wants to apologize to Leafy, but Golf Ball comes in and says Leafy is not a nice person after all. Pin says that she deserves the death penalty, and everyone except Firey agrees. Pencil finds Flower's announcer crusher, which is then used to execute Leafy. But right before Leafy almost gets crushed, Firey swoops in with the Snowball's hang glider and saves Leafy. Leafy yells at Firey to let her go, but Firey says that he realized what he wanted was her friendship, not Dream Island. They glide away into the sunset, but then Golf Ball says they have to get on with the execution. The episode ends, and the song played during the credits is called Smaller Cap, Less Plastic. After the credits, Pencil and Match are talking about how it would be weird if the first and last spoken words of BFDI were the same, and Match replies with yeah, thus making the first and last words the same. C tier. I know because this episode is the last episode, so obviously it would have the best writing out of all the episode. Because of that, that would mean this episode is the best episode. But my problem with this episode is that it's a bunch of random things that happen, like a few of the contestants getting abducted by the UFO, Bubble making Flower mad, which leads to Flower destroying the recovery centers, which is very pointless because the recovery centers return to BFDIA. I also don't understand the whole vote situation where they said that in the last episode if we don't get 1K votes then there will be no season 2, but then they decide to make a season 2 anyways. Regardless, Bubble provoking Flower to destroy the recovery center was pointless, but I also don't really like how Firey doesn't let Leafy onto Dream Island, and his entire reason for why is very stupid. Literally one thing that is seen as a joke at the time. So I think the way they tried to leave it open to a season 2, that conflict between Leafy and Firey was forced. I also don't like how BFDI has 5 seasons, and yet we barely know what happens to Dream Island. In BFDIA, the contestants are battling for a farm thing, or they are literally battling for nothing. In IDFB, they aren't battling for anything, they're just bringing back the contestants. And in BFB, they are battling for a compilation of all the episodes of BFDI Season 1 through 2, which I think is really stupid. And in TPOT, they are battling for the power of 2, which is at least an actual prize, but knowing that 2 is less powerful than 4 isn't really that good. So the whole battling for a prize aspect has been ruined by this episode pretty much. Although there is a lot I don't like about this episode in terms of writing, there is stuff I like about this episode, so I think it would be unfair if I gave it anything lower than a C tier. I think Eraser's message that he brings up before the intro is cool. I like how the cakes are all the cakes combined. I like how the cake and steak intro are all the cake and steak intros combined. Announcer releasing all the contestants just to have Flower immediately bite him was funny. I like how the announcer asked the eliminated contestants who they want to win Dream Island. And I think it's interesting how the writers made all the contestants say they want Leafy to win Dream Island. I think it's cool that Pin remembers her alliance with Leafy, but I also think it's sad how their friendship ends quickly. I like the words the announcer says to Bubble, and I like how there's a wholesome ending. But the existence of Season 2 makes the ending of Season 1 feel pretty meaningless. I mean, if they didn't make a season 2 because they didn't get 1K votes, like the announcer said, then I think the viewers leaving things to the imagination would mean people would assume that Leafy, who owns Dream Island, would just give it back to Firey, but season 2 exists. So it makes the entire ending scene between Firey and Leafy feel pointless, making season 1 end on a sour note. C tier, 7 out of 10. This Google Doc is currently almost 50 pages, and I'm sure that the audio recording is 1 or 3 hours at most. So in conclusion, what are my thoughts on BFDI Season 1? Well, I think the way the season started was pretty strong. Episodes 1 through 4, I think one of the reasons why the show blew up was simply because how iconic and good those episodes were. However, episode 5 were bad, but all the episodes I put on C tier are more meh videos instead of bad videos. And from the tier list, the C tier has the majority, meaning that the majority of videos are not terrible, but the majority of videos in season 1 are meh, while the other half are good. But that being said, I don't think that BFDI Season 1 was a bad start to the series at all. And I would also like to thank the Huang twins, Cary and Michael, and I think that everything that these two twins have done in making Season 1 is impressive. And they created the Object Show community, which has had a positive effect on many people. I have been Happy TV. Please subscribe and like the video if you enjoy, and I most likely won't be doing an entire review of an entire season for a show ever again, just because how this took days to make. Anyways, peace!